Guys, New Jersey just hired a long-time gun control attorney to lead the state office that is responsible for going after firearms manufacturers and dealers. And if you live here in New Jersey, as well as other anti-Second Amendment, anti-freedom blue state like it, this should get your attention because the state has been taking blow after blow after blow in the courts when it comes to the Second Amendment recently. Bruen back in 2022 forced New Jersey and other states like it from a may issue state to a shall issue state, meaning they had to actually comply with the U.S. Constitution and provide concealed carry permits to ordinary people, not just the politically connected. New Jersey's assault weapons ban and magazine capacity limit laws were recently deemed unconstitutional by the Third Circuit, even though it is on hold for now. And with New Jersey's so-called sensitive places law next up on a chopping block, I'm telling you, the state knows that, and they know that the legal ground is shifting underneath its feet. So instead of only going out to try to ban the guns directly, which they cannot anymore thanks to President Trump's great judicial appointments throughout the past 10 years, New Jersey appears to be shifting tactics, going after the companies that make them, the dealers that sell them, and the FFLs that transfer them. In other words, if they can't ban the right to keep and bear arms outright, they're going to try to make exercising it as expensive as possible, as risky as possible, and basically nearly impossible. But first, before we get started, my name is Jay Costa, and if you get value after watching this video, please hit that like button down below and also consider subscribing. We are building a community of like-minded individuals who are looking to fight for, protect, and defend our Second Amendment rights here in the great state of New Jersey, as well as other blue states like it. If that interests you, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can stay up to date on our videos. Also, follow me on Instagram at JCostaUSA, probably the best way to reach me at this point. I'm getting better at getting back to all of your DMs, but that is definitely the best way to reach out. Now, let's just jump right into it because this week, according to our friends over at news2a.com, definitely check them out if you have not already, New Jersey hired a new attorney to lead what is called the Statewide Affirmative Firearms Enforcement Office, also known as SAFE. You gotta love those acronyms they come up with. It's totally unreal. Anyway, the mission of this office is to, quote, bring civil enforcement actions against firearm companies to hold them accountable for violations of the law that harm the health and safety of residents. Now, as of August 24th of 2026, the Office of the New Jersey Attorney General issued a press statement announcing the appointment of Mr. Philip Bengal as the next director of SAFE, as they call it. And this is not just some random bureaucratic appointment. Mr. Bengal is a longtime gun control attorney who has spent more than 25 years involved taking away our Second Amendment rights. Most recently, he served as Senior Director of Affirmative Litigation at the Brady Center to Prevent Gun Violence, one of the most outspoken anti-Second Amendment groups in the entire country. So, New Jersey is bringing in someone with decades of experience in gun control litigation to lead the office that targets gun companies and dealers. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out where they're going. Now, the state knows it is struggling in court when it comes to directly challenging our individual right to keep and bear arms, the examples I brought up previously. So now the plan appears to be going after manufacturers, dealers, and retailers with extremely broad and extremely vague statutes that can be used to make doing business in New Jersey in the Second Amendment industry legally dangerous and financially burdensome and painful in a lot of ways. They plan on doing this mostly by using the 2022 Firearms Industry Public Safety Act, which includes a so-called public nuisance statute. The core prohibitions in this statute include barring a gun industry member, whatever that is, from knowingly or recklessly creating, maintaining, or contributing to a public nuisance in New Jersey by conduct either unlawful in itself or unreasonable under all the circumstances through the sale, manufacturing, distribution, importing, or marketing of a gun-related product. They also say that failing to establish, implement, and enforce, quote, reasonable controls regarding its manufacture, sale, distribution, importing, and marketing of gun-related products. And that phrase, reasonable controls, is where things get very, very dangerous, obviously, because terms like public nuisance, unreasonable conduct, and reasonable controls are broad enough, obviously, that the state can stretch them almost however they want. In my opinion, this is a total workaround designed to do what the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act, or the PLCAA, was supposed to prevent. Now, if you don't know about the PLCAA, It was passed by Congress in 2005 to protect lawful firearm manufacturers and dealers from being blamed for the criminal misuse of products they legally made and legally sold. Kind of like not allowing Ford to be sued if a driver gets a DUI while driving his Ford F-150. So in other words, if a criminal misuses a lawfully sold firearm, you don't get to sue the manufacturer just because you don't like guns. But New Jersey's public nuisance law appears to create a state-level path around that protection by giving the Attorney General of the state a specialized cause of action against so-called gun industry members. And this is not just theoretical, right? New Jersey has used this kind of theory before. New Jersey has sued Glock over Glock switches, even though Glock switches are already illegal, of course, and Glock Inc. does not make them. And back in 2024, former New Jersey Attorney General Matthew Platkin, remember him, he used the public nuisance law that we're discussing to sue 2 FFLs in our state over lawful ammunition sales. Platkin alleged that each store sold 1,000 rounds of AR-15 rifle ammunition in cash to first-time customers without checking any identification. The problem is, though, there is no law mandating that ID is checked while buying long gun ammo in New Jersey. So the state used this public nuisance statute to go after firearms dealers that, from what I can tell, were following the law completely. And the standard here is so broad that it gives the Attorney General enormous discretion to decide what counts as a violation. By the way, both stores that the state went after using this public nuisance statute are still in business, thank God. But the message to the industry has been very clear. If you sell firearms in New Jersey, if you sell ammo in New Jersey, or any firearm-related products in New Jersey, the state is watching and they are looking for ways to come after you every single day. And they'll come up with reasons to do so. Since its establishment in 2022, the Office SAFE has filed complaints against corporations like SIG and Glock, as well as so-called ghost gun sellers and firearms retailers that the state claims violated New Jersey law, even though they did not. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Jay, but I'm not Glock, I'm not SIG, I'm not a dealer or a FFL. Why do I care? Here's why. When the state makes it legally dangerous and financially impossible to sell firearms in our state of New Jersey, regular people like you and I pay the price. Manufacturers may decide it is not worth dealing with New Jersey at all. Dealers may become more cautious about what they sell. FFLs may get buried in compliance costs, attorney fees, insurance costs, and lawsuits. And when that happens, you get fewer options, higher prices, longer wait times, more fees, and fewer local businesses willing to serve us gun owners. And that's, of course, the goal. That is the real threat here. This is the cost of success, though, living behind enemy lines in states that want you dependent instead of free. When they lose one method of control, they don't give up, they find another one. If the state can't ban an arm anymore, or enforce unconstitutional magazine limits forever, or ban carrying everywhere outside your home with so-called sensitive places, then they just go try to make it impossible for manufacturers and FFLs to sell those arms to us through lawsuits, fees, regulations, and intimidation. This is their new strategy. They're saying it right to our face. And unfortunately, I expect more of the same. I believe they will use the power of the purse to hit us right in our pocketbooks going forward. Manufacturers, FFLs, and regular gun owners alike, we're going to be hit with more fines, more lawsuits, compliance costs, and massive fee increases attached to our constitutionally protected rights. Heck, they just raised the NICS fee by a handful of dollars. I'm not going to be surprised when it goes up even more. And I would not be surprised if more of our firearm-related fees go higher as well. But it is not all bad news, because the good news is the harder they push, the more clearly these schemes are unconstitutional, and the more likely it is that great Second Amendment organizations challenge them in court and win. So support the groups fighting this fight for us. The NRA, the FPC, SAF, SAF, the Gun Owners of America, and here in New Jersey you have the ANJRPC, the CNJFO, and the New Jersey Firearm Owner Syndicate. Links to all of them will be in the description box down below. Go support them, because they're fighting the fight for you and for me to keep exercising our Second Amendment rights in a place that never has allowed us to do so. And support your local FFLs too, because if New Jersey's going to target them as well and target the people who keep this industry alive in our own communities, we need to have their backs. That is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Drop a comment below. Do you think New Jersey is using this SAFE office with this new attorney that's anti-gun to get around any federal restrictions and attack the firearm industry? And if you want more updates from behind enemy lines here in New Jersey, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. Also, Lastly, check out the Behind Enemy Lines show. I just had Bill Sack, the legal director for SAF, the Second Amendment Foundation. You are going to love that. We go over all of the cases that we've talked about in this video. Not going to want to miss it. I'll put a link to that in the description box down below. Thank you guys so much, as always, for tuning in. Take care, God bless, and keep fighting. We'll see you next time.